everyone, Voodoo here, and today we are talking about nerfs. Yeah, they came through. They nerfed Havoc a bit, specifically Aldrachi Reaver, and then they also buffed up the tier set, so it's not as bad as it seems. The other big thing here is they did nerf Circe's Circlet, the very powerful ring that a lot of specs were using. So the numbers went down by a lot, but only about like half to a third of that was actually the Havoc things themselves. Probably about half. So the other half was the fact that Circe's Circlet no longer used at max level, which is for the best. It was a weird ring. But yeah, so we're gonna talk about them. Nothing too crazy. And yeah, so like, comment, subscribe, and let's get into it. All right, so first things first, tuning. So this is only 3 lines, which is nothing crazy. It's like a lot of tuning to a lot of different specs. Nothing too insane here. I didn't actually go down here. Arms got nerfed. All the, I think like Warlock stuff got changed around a bit. Enhancement Shaman got nerfed. They got elemental nerfs, so a lot of nerfs to overperforming specs. Somehow a buff to Beast Mastery Hunter, but they moved that power out of their tier set, whatever. So here's Havoc. So Aldrachi Reaver, Reaver's Mark now increases damage dealt to its target by 6%. This was 7%. Overall, that's super minor, right? Like, you have this up all the time, but it's like 1% at most. And then Aldrachi Reaver Thrill of the Fight increases damage is 15%, now was 20%. That's most of the nerf here. You have this up 50 to 60% of the time, so going that down by 5% is a noticeable thing. Altogether, this is about a 5% nerf to Aldrachi Reaver, but nothing like super crazy. We'll go over Sims after this as well. And then the 2-set bonus, winning streaks chance to activate, increased by 25%. So we just assume that this means the positive effect, because technically this could also mean the negative effect. But we're assuming this means the one that actually gives you a stack of winning streak. So you'll just get 25% more winning streaks, which means you'll just be doing more damage with Chaos Strike and Blade Dance, and you'll have slightly more critical strike whenever you go into demon form. Now the issue here with this tier set, it's still pretty bad. It's like roughly a 1 to 2% gain for the tier set, so it's changing the fact that you do want it at like a lower heroic eye level now for 4-piece. Doesn't change it to a point where it's a good tier set, but it does make it better, which is something, I guess. The problem with it is that we just use our main spenders, Chaos Strike and Blade Dance, way too much, which is the 15% reduction trigger. And we enter demon form just way too much. So we are building up this damage amp, but then we lose it every 20 seconds for a pretty mediocre crit amp. And we're building up this damage amp with most of our spells being Chaos Strike and Blade Dance, and every single time we use one, it just has a 15% chance of getting rid of it, right? So you never really get high enough stacks to make this that worthwhile. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they buff it again in the future, because it is still pretty bad. But we do want it at kind of like a heroic eye level now. So overall, and we'll show Sims, 5% or so nerf to Aldrachi, 2% or so gain to the tier set, which means that Aldrachi was nerfed by 3% overall, and Fel Scarred was buffed by 2% overall, more or less. Other big thing is the Circe's Circlet nerfs. So this is posting a hotfix. This is on live right now. So if you're on live, change out your ring, your gem combination, to the Windsinger's Rune Citron instead of the, I'm trying to find it. Where is it? Here we go. Instead of the Legendary Skipper Citron, and it will be better. But this does make it no longer Abyss. So what they did was they made Roaring War Queen Citron chance to trigger has been reduced slightly. So this is to nerf the all 16 players in the raid wear Roaring War Queens, and then 4 people have like the Thunder Gem or whatever, and they all just zap the target over and over and over again. I don't know how much reduced slightly is. That still might be a viable strategy in like World First or something, but we'll see. But the big one here is Legendary Skipper's Citron no longer triggers the Roaring War Queen's Citron effect. So what this does is that it basically kind of kills the reason why the ring was really good. So part of the reason why this ring was so crazy is that when you had a full party of 4+ or 20, like 20 in a raid, 4 in a Mythic Plus dungeon, and you all have Legendary Skipper Citron, you could proc any gem, but one of those gems you could proc was Roaring War Queens, which went and procced 4 other people's gems. So you'd have this, all 20 players would have it, and roughly, I think once every, I don't know, like, I don't remember the math off my head. I did the math for a while, but with 20 players all proccing it, you'd have a lot of Roaring War Queens procs, which would go out and proc other people's gems. So you'd have roughly like 50% uptime on this pretty powerful stat buff when you yourself wore it. And the Sims kind of approximated this effect. They approximated it proccing everybody. So then removing this makes Legendary Skipper Citron dead. It makes the ring a lot worse. I don't have the sim for it off the top of my head here right now. But basically what it does is it makes it so that the ring is roughly equal to a 665 ring. So it's going to depend on your mastery, because the more mastery you have, the better the ring is, obviously. But around that level is when we expect the ring to start to be like replaced. So kind of want to just sim yourself with it. It will be worse now. You're still going to be using it for prog probably, but once you get like a 665 ring, 670 ring, like high heroic, low mythic rings, is when you're going to be in the ballpark to start looking to replace that. Now again, on live, just change over to the Windsinger's Rune Citron, the highest secondary stat one. But for the future, no longer Abyss, max heroic, roughly eye level ring will replace it, which is, you know, probably for the best. So with that, let's take a look at Fel Scarred and Aldrachi sims, and then we will end it off. All right, so here we are with sims. So beforehand, obviously, Oppenheimer is the Aldrachi Reaver build. It was up at around 2.8 some, 2.83, 2.88, somewhere in that ballpark. So we have lost about 100K from it. Again, most of that is the ring, only 5% or so, or only 3% or so for actually Aldrachi changes. And most of that is the ring. But yeah, you know, still our best build. It still has free cleave here in the form of the glaive stuff, which is really powerful. It still has the funnel, which is insanely strong still. So you're gonna be playing this in most scenarios still. In Mythic Plus, this has lost a little bit. It's still gonna be the play, just because of what it does. But if you want to do like big AoE pad, and like you'll have like no prio or single target damage. But if you want to do like big AoE numbers, then Fel Scarred is going to be better for that now. Which is, you know, interesting, I guess. So there are choices there, but you'll probably still see Aldrachi be played at the highest keys for what it brings because of its funnel, its single target and priority damage, which is like really good. It's consistent cleave instead of its burst cleave, and then also it's just like way tankier with both of these nodes. Incorruptible Spirit or Army unto Oneself are just really super powerful nodes. Unfortunately, they nerfed this, but now it's both of them are at 15%. So I guess it kind of makes sense. But yeah, so Aldrachi Reaver, worse, still okay. You're still gonna be pretty good, like very good in raid with all the cleave and all the funnel. Still be pretty solid in Mythic Plus, like average to slightly above average. So you'll have a niche. Probably won't be meta because of Vengeance. If Paladin does end up being meta and you have two really strong casters, then I could see Havoc being brought to top keys because of its funnel potential and the 3% damage magic damage you bring, right? So if you have like a fire mage and some other strong caster and then a prop paladin tank, Havoc's gonna be a very good third option there to do funnel damage, party damage, and just like debuff things with your with your brand. So definitely still a possibility for Havoc, not as good as it was for sure, but still like a pretty solid pick. We're gonna be better than we were last year for being brought. And yeah, so for Fel Scarred is the sim. I do want to show the HTML report here and go down to buffs, just to show you guys how bad our tier set is. So this is the crit buff. We open this up here, we can see the normal, how much stacks we have. So most of the time we have 1 or 2 stacks, which is 2 or 4% crit, which is very bad. And then down here at winning streak, most of the time, again, 1 or 2 stacks, pretty bad. And then down here, winning streak residual, 1 or 2 stacks. So at most you have like 4 stacks often of winning streaks. So you have like a 12% buff, and that includes the residuals. And you have like 2 stacks of necessary sacrifice, which is a 4% crit buff. So our tier set is horrible, unfortunately. And it just kind of is what it is. But for Fel Scarred, 2.6 million, not very good. That is still a very, very low number. I think it is starting to be playable though. If you want to just play Fel Scarred, this is the tier build, of course, the set build, sorry, the talent build. If you want to play Fel Scarred in raid, it's certainly doable now. But it is like not a very good spec. It's still worse than a lot of different like other lower performing specs, and it also just does not have the free cleave that something like Extreme Brutality and the glaive stuff gives you, as well as missing the funnel. So you don't really do a ton more AoE damage. They've kind of killed Demon Surge. It does so much less damage now because of the nerfs, because of enemies necessary removal and all that stuff. And you are, of course, also factoring in isolated prey for single target damage. So your cleave build is a lot worse. You do a lot less cleave damage, but if you want to play this, it's certainly playable now. So, you know, there's that. The tier set bonus did help it. Oh, I can't close out of this. Whatever. So yeah, so that will be kind of the video here. We're just gonna go to my camera screen, and yeah, so there you go. Small nerfs. Unfortunate. I was hoping they'd just nerf our old tier set instead. We are pretty strong with the old tier set, but you know, is what it is. Havoc's still in a decent enough spot, very good in raid, solid enough in Mythic Plus. Yeah, I don't know. There is room now to buff up our tier set, which is hopefully something to come in the future. So yeah, that's the video. Happy weekend. Monday I should have a gearing guide video out. If you missed the whole season 2 guide, it came out yesterday, go check it out, I'll link it. And yeah, I will see you guys on Tuesday for a stream, Monday for a video, and the new season starts next week, and I am so excited. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys then. Peace. A big thank you to all of my channel members. Thank you to Rukaza, Alexander Trufonovich, Fear Redefined, Loose Change, Zuligan, Gabrielle Correa, Magic Man 133, and Fel Scarred Dark Terror. Thank you so much to everybody here. If you guys want to help support me and just help grow the channel, consider joining the channel number down below. Get your name right at the end of every video. If you otherwise, you can watch me on Twitch as well. You can sub there. And just thank you everybody watching my video. Thank you to my channel members for supporting me and helping me do this. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.